Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Behind the Scenes of Holiday Helpings. We're really excited to have you join us today and to give you some updates about what's going on with Holiday Helpings for 2021. Just if you don't know, my name is Kenrick Thomas. I am the Communications and Events Manager at Bread for the City. And to start it off, I am going to introduce our CEO, George Jones, who's going to give us a little bit of history about Holiday Helpings. Take it away, George.
Good afternoon. As Kenrick said, I'm George Jones, CEO of Bread for the City. Some of you may know. First of all, I want to thank you all for, I think the list is growing of folks who are joining us for this behind the scenes look at Holiday Helpings 2021. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. You'll hear us thank you a number of times because we just couldn't do the work we do without your help and now the larger community's help. My role today is to talk a little bit about Holiday Helpings, the history of it, and kind of how it's evolved particularly over the last couple of years. As many of you know, Bread for the City has been actually distributing food to families and individuals in Washington, D.C. since 1976, actually. So 45 years we've been helping families who need food assistance or who are food insecure. But it was about 30 years ago when we actually kicked off our first Holiday Helpings campaign. And ever since, it's been really sort of a joy, in some ways, a kind of marquee initiative for Bread for the City. And the numbers of families and individuals we've served over the years has just grown. Last year, we served 15,000 people. But again, as you know, historically, the model was that we would provide a turkey and all the trimmings to families. And so 10, 12, 13,000 families each year could count on us during the months of November and December to be available for them to come by and pick up, for the most part, pick up turkeys and all the trimmings for a holiday meal. And our real sort of vision was to make sure that community members who live in our city could enjoy the traditional holiday meal just like we did. And we talk a lot about how much more meaningful our own Thanksgiving is by knowing that we and you have helped us make sure that thousands of people can also enjoy the traditional holiday meal. Well, but of course, then 2020, the pandemic hit, and all bets were off when it came to how we were going to stand up holiday helpings. A number of things sort of came to converge, if you will, to sort of change and cause us to have to restructure how we did holiday helpings. First of all, the food chain was disrupted, and to some degree still is. But there was also the question of how to keep community members safe, how to make sure that people, as one of my staff said 2 years ago when we started to sort of think about retooling holiday helpings, and how to, we don't want people to have to choose between staying safe and being food secure and enjoying a holiday meal. And so pretty quickly we decided that it made much more sense, was much more efficient to give people gift cards. So as you may remember last year, 15,000 community members received $50 gift cards from us. And so in a lot of ways, it was all about that being so pragmatic of a response to the pandemic and our interest, our commitment to making sure that families still could get access to holiday foods. But what we found out after we started to sort of screen and sort of survey, if you will, some of our community members, is that maybe the most powerful and important aspect of our pivot last year was the fact that they had choice, that they could take these debit cards, and that's what they are. They're sort of debit cards that people can use to use any way they want. And many people, as I think in our survey data showed, many people used it to purchase food. Not surprisingly, people really wanted to enjoy traditional holiday meals. But a number of other people used it on a range of other things, including transportation and other sort of sundries that they needed to purchase. And to be quite honest with you, that was really eye-opening to us, that was something that people really sort of valued and really sort of told us that was maybe the most important aspect of how we changed holiday helpings. So this year, before I turn it over to, and I've got a whole host of colleagues who are going to speak to you today. I'll turn it over back to Kendrick in a second. But this year, in a lot of ways, our motto is, Breadfast City is going to do more, and we want to ask you to help us do more. So this year, not only are we going to serve at least 15,000 households, but we're going to give them $75 debit cards. And with these debit cards, again, we are hoping that they use their own power to choose on what to do with those cards. Someone will choose to use it for a turkey or for ham or for other foods that are more appropriate for them, and others will choose to do other things. I had a person that I actually handed a card to, and he told me the thing he thought he'd end up doing is washing some of his clothes, going to the laundromat and doing that. And that was perfectly fine. So we're excited again this year, as Kendrick said, and we're excited to be able to do this in the spirit of choice for our community members. So thank you for joining us. And thank you for all of your support of this campaign. Kendrick?
Thank you so much, George, for your update. We really appreciate it. Now we're going to hand it over to Tracy Collins. She's our food and clothing director, and she's going to talk about why is client choice so important this year and what that means for holiday helpings. Take it away, Tracy.
Thank you, Kendrick, and thank you everyone for joining us here today. It's so great to have you here. Even though we can't be in person or see everyone, it's great to be able to be joined by all of you today. So yeah, as George said, when the pandemic hit, Bread for the City pivoted. We started providing grocery services via delivery in order to help our clients and our staff stay safe. We realized that by delivering groceries, we were able to actually meet the needs of those who may not have been able to access our services prior to the pandemic due to transportation, childcare, or medical barriers, or a whole host of other things. And so as holiday helpings came around, we knew we needed to pivot again. And we continue to pivot to meet the needs of our clients. Giving clients a choice means that my privilege is not choosing for the client. My life experiences are not the same as their life experiences. So who am I to say how someone needs help during the holidays? It may be food. It may also be a great number of other things, as George mentioned. It may be a different type of food, such as pre-prepared food or vegetarian food or gluten-free food. It may be plates and utensils on which to eat the food, provided by maybe another organization. This is the power in giving our consumers a choice. We are continuing, of course, to send food to our clients throughout the month of November and beyond. This month, the food bags have contained green beans, stuffing, gravy, cranberry sauce, corn muffin mix, yams, squash, apples, oil, and butter, in addition to the foods we would be providing to our consumers any other week. Each of these bags are filled with produce, hearty protein options, and fresh breads in order to meet not only the immediate hunger needs, but also the nutritional needs of our clients and our community. And so as we continue to pivot, we know that choice is at the center of all we do. And we are so thankful to have you alongside us this holiday season. And thank you, Kenrick, for inviting me to share with you today.
Thank you so much, Tracy. We really appreciate it. And just a friendly reminder, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave it in the Q&A tab, and there will be a section where we'll be able to get to your questions. Next, we're going to bring up Stacy Johnson, and she's going to talk about holiday helpings as a whole and what does it mean to give them more this year.
Right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us again. My name is Stacy Johnson, and I am part of the social services team here at Bread. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we learned after last year's program. So it's not a surprise. People really liked it. So some of our longtime clients were initially a little bit confused or upset when we said we don't have turkeys last year, but then when we explained we're going to be giving you this debit card, you can use it how you want. That was really exciting for them, and that was really empowering. And what did we learn overall? People really made the most of that money, as George alluded to. So it was $50, which is not really a life-altering amount, but it is enough to get groceries, shoes, clothing, transportation, perhaps pay down a bill. You know, these are all things that we know that people did with this money last year. You know, being given food or clothing is really appreciated, for sure. But the freedom to choose your own items is something that I think a lot of us take for granted all the time. It's a privilege to be in a store and debate over two different items. It's a joy to be able to select just the right gift for your child. We were able to provide that to 15,000 families last year, and we're excited to be able to offer it again this year with an increase in card amount even. So this year, families will be getting cards with $75. As this pandemic carries on, we're all so weary and so tired of it and of the challenges that it continues to bring. Many people are still out of work. Maybe they're back to work, but they're still feeling the effects of those months without pay, or worse, the loss of a family member. So families in DC really still need our help, and they need even more this year. As I'm making lots of phone calls every day to people to get them signed up for this card. And I can't tell you the number of times I've been thanked and blessed and adored. And it is such a rewarding process. And as George has mentioned, and as Tracy mentioned, the community is so incredibly grateful, not only for the cash assistance, but for what it also stands for and what it implies. And we're saying to people, we trust that you will use this money in the best way that you see fit. You know, you are the expert of your own life. We're not the ones to tell you what type of cranberry sauce to buy or how many boxes of cereal you should have. The message to the community this year is clear. So we want to support you in having what you need for your family. You know, even though they usually say one size fits all, that's not always the case unless it's money. So as exciting as this program is, there's also a lot of work that goes into pulling it off. We rely on and appreciate help from volunteers to help us reach these folks and get them registered for cards. So I'll put in this plug that if you are at all interested in helping us make phone calls to people, let them know that they'll be receiving a card, and help them fill out this simple form over the phone with them. Stay tuned, and Ashley is coming up next, and she'll give you information on how to join us in our efforts. Thanks, everyone. Kenrick?
Thank you, Stacy. We really appreciate it. Now, Ashley Dahm, our Chief Development Officer, is going to talk to us a little bit about fundraising. How's it going, Ashley?
Hey, Kenrick. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. Like George said, a lot of our time is going to be spent saying thank you. It's really important for us to share with you all just how much gratitude we have. You can't know when you pivot a program this traditional and this longstanding an organization like Bread for the City, such a beloved program like Holiday Helpings, who's going to come with you on that journey. And we're so glad that the full community kind of jumped right on board with what we wanted to do here, what the client community let us know was needed for them, especially during the pandemic, especially with everything going on right now with food chain disruptions, with supply disruptions, with inflation. This is just one of the best ways that we can be there for folks, and one of the best gifts that we can give people at the end of the year, this gift of choice, really being able to support our mission of dignity and respect to every single person here in Washington, D.C. So thank you. What we've been able to do so far in just these first couple weeks, we're just going into the third week of Holiday Helping fundraising now, has been amazing. Like both Tracy and Stacy have mentioned, our goal is to support 15,000 families this holiday season. Our goal last year was to support 15,000 families as well, and we supported just over 16,000 families. The need is so great. There are so many families who need this support. And so we're going to support as many families as we can as the fundraising continues to progress. In order to support those 15,000 families, and because the cost of the debit card that we are going to give out this year is higher, we did $50 last year, we're doing $75 debit cards this year. A lot of that is just to meet people where they are, and a lot of that the reason that we made that decision is just because we need to do more this year. Last year, people think of last year as the pandemic year, but the pandemic is still going on. Our families, our community is still needing our support. Because we raised that amount, the fundraising goal is higher as well. Last year, we raised $1.1 million for Holiday Helpings, which was a groundbreaking year, a historic year for Holiday Helpings. This year, our goal is to raise 1.25 million so that we can cover the extra cost of those debit cards. So I really invite all of you to join with me in different ways that you can get involved. This is, again, another historic fundraising year for us, another historic goal. It's a really steep mountain to climb. And so, let's just climb up that mountain together. So far, we've raised about $200,000. About half of that has come from our corporate drives. So one of the really unique things about Holiday Helpings is that it really has this foundation of being a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign. So we have groups, we have individuals, we have corporations who have fundraising pages for us, a lot of our longtime supporters, a lot of our brand new supporters who weren't as aware of Bread for the City before the pandemic, before they learned about why we do wraparound services, why we have food, social service, legal and medical all under one roof. A lot of these folks have joined in with us and have started a drive page. It's a way that you can reach out to your own network and your own community or within your own company to learn more. Yep, here's the code here that you can scan in order to learn more about hosting a drive. And you can also go to breadforthecity.org/holiday helpings. That link to our Holiday Helpings page is going to give you a lot of information. It's going to tell you where you can donate directly to Holiday Helpings, but it's also going to tell you how you can do a fundraising drive. A couple of our corporate groups have already surpassed the goals that they've set. People are not backing down this year. People are doubling down and really being supportive. We have 17 corporate drives across our corporate partnerships program. It's really looking wonderful out there in the land of Holiday Helpings drives. I want to congratulate and especially thank our top 3 corporate drives right now. Those are Alston and Bird, Perkins Coie, and Covington, 3 of just our fantastic corporate partners who have been there with us for quite a while. The colleagues and staff at those corporations, at those firms, really having a good time with Holiday Helpings, contributing to the drive. It's a little competitive, but in a fun way. So again, go over to breadforthecity.org/holiday helpings and learn how you can get involved. In addition to donating and supporting this program, sponsoring families through this program, and doing your own drive page or getting your company up and running on a drive page. Echoing what Stacy said, we also need volunteers. So I saw that there was already a question in the chat or in the Q&A about volunteer opportunities. So Bread for the City is always in need of volunteers. That's an evergreen need of ours. Like Tracy said, we're getting out thousands of bags of food every week, and we have some extra special holiday food items going out into those bags. So we always need people to pack food bags. We also have a very extra special need, like Stacy mentioned, to reach out to those 15,000 families who are going to be receiving the debit cards through Holiday Helpings and fill out a simple form with them. I've heard wonderful feedback from our volunteers who were able to do this type of volunteering last year. You get to do it from home, it's remote, it's a way that people can contribute while still remaining safe, especially if you're more weary about going out right now as we get into those winter months, those cold and flu season months while we're still in this pandemic. So again, if you go to holidayhelpings.org, or sorry, breadforthecity.org/holidayhelpings, you can find out more information there about volunteering, but we really do need an army of folks to raise their hand and opt in and say, you know, yes, I'm here to help, I'm here to volunteer. Lastly, I want to give everybody a few dates to bookmark. We have Giving Tuesday coming up. So if you're like me, you're already shocked that Thanksgiving is next week. Thanksgiving is a week from today, which I don't know how that happened. It still feels like it's May. And the Tuesday following Thanksgiving every year is Giving Tuesday. It's a hyper day of giving here across the United States. And we're going to have a fantastic matching opportunity. So if you are managing a drive page already and you want to get more folks inspired to give on a certain day, or if you are just going to be starting your drive page this week, or if you yourself want to make sure your gift is as leveraged as possible, go ahead and donate on November 30th. That's Giving Tuesday. Kate Toomey, who is one of our fantastic board members, is going to be matching gifts on Giving Tuesday. So please do take advantage of that opportunity. We're going to have additional matching opportunities as we get into December as well. So I'd like everyone just to keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, you know, pay attention to when we throw out those matching opportunities, because that's a great way to unlock twice the impact, twice the giving. Last date I'll give you, December 1st, the day after Giving Tuesday, is our Holiday Helpings halftime show. A lot of you might remember that last year we did a virtual halftime show. It was so much fun. We wanted to do it again. It's a way to break halfway through Holiday Helpings and celebrate our successes and talk about our goals and our progress. We're going to have some fantastic guests. We're going to have a great host. It's really going to be a fun time. So pay attention to your email invites, pay attention to social media. All the information about the Holiday Helpings halftime show will be right there. And I just want to leave you again by saying thank you. Thank you to this community. Thank you to the Friends of Bread for the City. We honestly could not be supporting this many people and having this type of impact here at year end and during the holiday season without just every single one of you. So thank you so much. I'm gonna turn it back over to Kenrick.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your update, Ashley. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave it in the Q&A tab down at the bottom of your screen, and we'll be able to get to your question. The first question we have is actually from one of our great friends and clients, Michael Blue. And he says, unfortunately, there were a few places that required a zip code to utilize the card. So I believe the question pretty much is, if there's a zip code requirement, which zip code we will use. I believe that may be a question for Stacy.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about that. It could be that you need to register the card. If that is still, it doesn't work, my suggestion is actually to call the customer service number that is also listed on the card. So sorry that happened.
Great. Well, thank you. I believe there is a question from Gary Mendel, but I believe Ashley had already answered that. How our volunteer needs going? Is it up? Is it down? But
Yeah, I think generally when we think about volunteering, it's remained steady at this point. There was this huge dip at the beginning of the pandemic when people were obviously sheltering at home and we were thinking of creative ways that people could volunteer at home. We were able to partner with some really creative partner or brother sister nonprofits who actually were employing out of work restaurant workers as volunteers in nonprofits. So you had restaurant workers coming into food pantries like ours and packing food and being paid by this, this fund that had been set up to do that. We're back to almost previous to normal, if there's a way to even reflect on what was normal before the pandemic. It's been so long. With our volunteers, it's an evergreen need, so I could always use a couple more volunteers almost every single day to help Tracy in the food pantry packing food. We've had some fantastic groups come in lately. So if you're a member of an organization or a group and you think that could be a really good team building activity, we had Howard Week last week or 2 weeks ago, where we had lots of different student groups from Howard come out. We've had the Howard football team come out. We've had church groups come. We've had corporations come and volunteer. Everybody gets an afternoon to, leave the office or leave their home office to come and help us out. So I think volunteering has reached a steady point, but we're always in need. And we especially have this huge need right now for people to do the phone volunteering, the remote volunteering for holiday helpings. We have a couple more weeks left where we really need to call about 5,000 more people, 5,000 more households to make sure that all the information we have is accurate so they can get their debit card. So, go to that website again, sign up for a shift, let us know that you or a group want to do that. You'll get training from us. You'll get a lot of cheerleading from us. So definitely a fair amount of need still with volunteers.
thank you so much. And I believe Lynette Nichols, she has her hand raised. I believe you're actually able to speak if you have a question. Your mic is muted. All right. Or you can also, if you would like, you can add your question to the Q&A tab at the bottom as well. But if there aren't any questions, we can hand it over to our board president, John Fee. Take it away, John.
Thank you, Kenrick. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in this afternoon to our behind the scenes of holiday helpings session. I'm a big fan of holiday helpings, have been for years. For me and my family, our holiday doesn't really even start until holiday helpings gets underway. The season and holiday helpings are associated with each other for us, and I hope it is for you too. So reach out to your friends, your coworkers, your neighbors, and ask them or encourage them to contribute to holiday helpings, or start your own holiday helpings page, or organize a holiday helpings get together. Also, we can provide holiday helpings debit cards to families in the community we serve. And so we can continue to provide all the much needed services that Bread for the City offers the community, all with the dignity and respect for which Bread for the City is so well known. Let's make this the most successful holiday helpings ever. One way you might do that, notice that, as a couple people have said, this year we're giving folks a $75 debit card. That's 50% more than last year's debit card. So think about, if you can, and if it's right for you, increasing your donation this year by 50% as well. So we really can make this the most successful holiday helpings ever. Enjoy your holidays, everyone, and thank you for supporting Bread for the City and Holiday Helpings. Thanks, everyone, and thank you, Kenrick, for hosting.